What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is James from Cop Logic, and it is your match preview for what is the biggest game of the season so far, for me at least. Not just because of the fixture, Liverpool versus Manchester City, but also because of what it means for Liverpool, the potential here to go 11 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. 1st of December, 4 p.m. kickoff. Let's get into it. So if you're new to the channel, first of all, please consider subscribing. Give the video a like if you do enjoy it as well. But if you're not, you might know that what we normally do is we take a look back at sort of previous fixtures, head-to-heads, things like that, the current form of the two teams, and we kind of piece together how we think the game is going to go in the preview. That's what these videos usually are. But I think we all know this time around that all of that kind of goes out the window given the current situation of Manchester City and their current form. I don't really think past heads-to-heads are going to come into it that much. I think a lot of it is going to be down to what the hell is going on with Manchester City, the capitulation of Manchester City, who are in the worst form of Pep Guardiola's managerial career across all of his clubs, not just City. It is a bizarre set of circumstances that sees Liverpool top of the table, clear by 8 points at the moment, with a chance at Anfield to go 11 points clear. It is an absolutely massive game. So first and foremost, City continue a winless streak of 6 games before their league meeting with Liverpool at Anfield. Now, a league meeting with Liverpool at Anfield is a daunting task for any team, including Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. We've seen that in previous years, and I'll even discuss that in a second, but I think more so this time just because of the situation City find themselves in, both on the field and off the field. And what I mean by that is like mentally, the mental drain that must be going on with these players right now. To throw away a 3-0 lead against Feyenoord is unfathomable to me for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. I just couldn't believe that happened. You know, that was a game that, despite their bad form, I expected City to win anyway, and it wouldn't really have affected my confidence ahead of this game. But the fact that they threw away a 3-0 lead, it only helps sort of amplify the confidence that I have for this game. The way Pep Guardiola reacted, the cuts and the scratches and whatever else, the very, very strange press conference he had afterwards, it all just points to this mental fatigue, or it's almost like he doesn't know what to do. Like, things aren't working. I don't want to call Manchester City a one-man team. I don't believe that it's just because Rodri isn't in the side that they've fallen apart. Obviously, he's a key component to that Manchester City team, and without him, they're struggling. But there's more going on. You know, I think it's an age inside. I think there are a number of players that just aren't the same player that they have been in previous Manchester City campaigns. And I think Pep Guardiola is struggling with that. And it reminds me very much of the age in Liverpool side before Klopp reinvented that midfield with all the new signings. I kind of look at it and just think like, yeah, we've been here before. Like, I know, you know, I can see exactly what's happening to Manchester City. It happened to us as well. And obviously, on the flip side of that, you've got Arne Slot in his first season with Liverpool, absolutely flying in every single competition, top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League. We've only lost one game all season. What impresses me most is the fact that, like, he's taken it all in his stride. He looked completely unfazed against Real Madrid, and that's exactly the kind of attitude you want from our manager going into a game as big as this against Manchester City. Bring that attitude, and whatever he instilled in those players for that game, bring that as well, because I thought Darwin Núñez, I thought Curtis Jones, and I thought Conor Bradley were all phenomenal. And even if you want to take all that out of it, contextually, Manchester City tend to have a bad time at Anfield anyway. All those stats aside, Manchester City have won just one of their last 21 Premier League away games against Liverpool. That was in 2021, and you'd have to go all the way back to 2003 to see them pick up a win at Anfield in front of a crowd. So obviously that was the COVID season. But of course, before we can discuss any sort of scoreline, we've got to go through the team selection for this game. And I actually think this is where the interesting discussions are going to come into it. So make sure you get yourselves down in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. All of these players we're about to run through in a second and discuss. Now, this could come as a surprise, but I'm going with Kevin Kelleher, and I say it could come as a surprise because Alisson Becker is fit and should be available to play. He has been in training now for the past week, and yeah, I think he should be available to play, but I have to say I am going with Kevin Kelleher. I actually think there's an argument here that Kevin Kelleher is Arne Slot's goalkeeper. He's played more games for Liverpool under Arne Slot than Alisson Becker has, and he hasn't put a single foot wrong. You can't fault a single game of Kelleher's. And I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I think Kelleher's better than Alisson Becker, let's start Kelleher in the biggest game of the season. I'm not saying that, but I just think it would be so disrespectful to bring Alisson Becker straight back into the lineup after the performances Kevin Kelleher's put in. I mean, mean, if you don't get in the side based on those performances, what else can you do? It must be so disheartening, and I would feel a little bit sorry for him. Now, it wouldn't surprise me to see Alisson Becker start this game. If he's fit and he's ready to play, you're talking about the best goalkeeper in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I would feel a little bit sorry for Queeve in that instance. And so for me, I am going to put him in. I mean, the guy saved 2 penalties in the last 2 games, and one of those was against Kylian Mbappe. And again, that was a bad penalty from Mbappe, but it's still a high-pressure situation for the goalkeeper. It's Kylian Mbappe, it's Real Madrid, under the lights, Champions League night at Anfield. It was not an easy thing to do, to remain, keep that composure, and save that penalty. And that aside, the amount of clean sheets he's kept as well, he's just been unbelievable in this sort of spell where Alisson's been injured. We haven't missed Alisson at all, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, I just think he deserves a little bit of a run. So I'm putting him in there even if Alisson Becker's fit. You might disagree with that. I'm sure a number of people will. And if that's you, get yourself in the comments and let me know why. So I'm going with Trent Alexander-Arnold only because Conor Bradley picked up that injury and I'm not sure he's going to be fit to play. I haven't seen the press conference as of making this video, so I don't know for certain whether he's fit or not fit. Slot after the Real Madrid game was unsure, couldn't really comment on the fitness of him or Konate. But with Konate walking off, I think he'll probably be fine. Conor Bradley, not so sure about. So apprehensively, I'm going with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who we know is back from his injury. He was on the bench for Real Madrid, unused, I think, as a precaution because he was saving him for the City game. But I have to say, if Conor Bradley is fit to play, I'd play him too. I know that might sound crazy, but he was so good against Real Madrid. The 2 centre-backs, I'm going with Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. Now again, there's a little bit of an asterisk on Konate, whether he's fit to play, but I think he probably will be with him walking off by himself. So I think that he'll be fine, and if he is fine, it has to be these 2. Van Dijk, first of all, looks back to his brilliant best all season. He's been phenomenal. Konate was brilliant, outstanding against Real Madrid, as a number of players were, and when they're in this little vein of form, we want to keep them in it, we want to keep that momentum rolling. So there is zero doubt in my mind that the 2 of these start if they're both available. If not, I'm probably throwing Joe Gomez in there, to be honest with you, because again, every time we've called on Joe Gomez this season, I think he's performed well. I think he's going above and beyond, doing what he can. You know, he reminds me of James Milner, obviously not the same type of player, but the fact that he will just slot in anywhere he's needed and he gets the job done every single time. Players like that are so important, especially when you're in these kind of like huge campaigns where you're fighting for a Champions League and maybe a Premier League at the same time. There's not really any other option here than Andrew Robertson, who I think has probably been our weakest player of late, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say that. I don't necessarily think he was terrible against Real Madrid, but he's given away a penalty in the last 2 games on the run there against Southampton and against Real Madrid, and that really isn't good enough. And I know it was a soft penalty. It was a penalty, right? There was contact, he went down. You're not going to ever get away with that. It's hard to be critical, but you kind of have to be. He's given away 2 penalties in 2 games. It's an issue. As long as he can keep his cool and keep those rash challenges in the box under control, then, you know, of course, I put my faith in him. He's a mainstay of this Liverpool side. He's been there, done that in terms of title races. He knows what he's doing. He knows what needs to be done. We just need to see a little bit more coolness, composure, sharpness in those key moments. The midfield for me is the key to this game, with Manchester City's midfield being as weak as it is, being, I think, their weak point. The reason that they're so easy to play through at the moment is just that the midfield ain't up to it, especially without Rodri. So that's why it is so key that we get our midfield right for this game. And for me, that has to be Alexis McAllister, man of the match against Real Madrid, but has been, you know, brilliant all season, has become a mainstay in this Liverpool sort of midfield here. He is the key component, but alongside him, Ryan Gravenberch, what a player he's been this season. What a player he's become under Arne Slot. He's transformed him. He's absolutely transformed him from what we've seen of Ryan Gravenberch under Jurgen Klopp to what we've seen now under Arne Slot. It's a completely different player. He's absolutely thriving in this new role that Arne Slot's got him in. We dominated the possession. We dominated their midfield, and that's no small task when it consists of the likes of Luka Modric and Jude Bellingham, Camavinga, all of that. They were such a key component in that game, and I think it's going to be just as important in this one. So for me, both of them have to start. Both of them get in the starting 11 every single week for me. If I think about Arne Slot's strongest midfield, it is Alexis McAllister, it is Ryan Gravenberch, and it is this next player that we're about to jump into. And that would be Curtis Jones, who I'm throwing in there in a slightly more advanced role, who I just think is having an unbelievable season. He's another player, much like Ryan Gravenberch, that I just believe has been transformed by Arne Slot's new system. Curtis Jones, what a season he is having, both on and off the pitch. Obviously, brand new dad, but, you know, England debut, which went brilliantly. And then you've obviously got the form that he's been in for Liverpool at this moment in time. He is in Arne Slot's starting 11 for me, in my opinion. He is a part of what is our best midfield right now, and that's no slight on Dominic Szoboszlai. It is in fact a credit to Curtis Jones that he's managing to keep Szoboszlai out of this team at the moment. It is a huge shame that he doesn't have the number 8 on his back, because I would love personally to see a Scouser back in this midfield with the number 8 on his back, and Curtis Jones, I really feel like, is on his way to becoming a mainstay in this Liverpool side. He's been so good recently, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of Gini Wijnaldum, what he brings on the ball in terms of how hard he is to get off the ball. You know, once he's got it, he keeps it. He can go on a run, he can dribble, he can beat his man. He can always find that path out, and he is, for me, that player that you always need in a side when you're up against it sometimes, and you know you can give it to Curtis, and when Curtis is on the ball, it's like, okay, everyone can take a breather. We got a second here, he's not going to lose it. Refocus and go again, kind of thing. And he is that player for me right now. But what he offers that Wijnaldum maybe didn't offer quite so much in Jurgen Klopp's side was he's got a little bit more of an attacking threat about him. And I think a lot of that is down to Arne Slot's system and how Arne Slot is utilising him, rather than that Wijnaldum couldn't do it, because we've seen Wijnaldum with the Netherlands. He was always a goal-scoring threat that you never seen at Liverpool, and I think that was just a systematic difference there. Let's move on to the forwards, where I think it's another key area in this game. Again, we run the midfield, we run the entire game, and that means we run the pressing and the counter-pressing, and the counter-pressing I think is going to be key in this game, with Pep Guardiola needing to win this game. You know, you would assume he's going to throw everything at us because he needs a win. He's desperate for it, and that might play right into our hands because we are bang on our counter. We've seen the pace of Darwin Núñez against Real Madrid. We know what Mo Salah can do on a counter as well. So let's get into our forward lineup. So in terms of the wingers, I'm going Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah. Now, Luis Diaz, again, he's a player reborn under Arne Slot, in my opinion. I know Jurgen Klopp rated him highly. I know Jurgen Klopp used to always play him, but the difference is the numbers. With Arne Slot, the amount of goals Luis Diaz is getting, he's become an absolute threat. He's become the kind of player that you expect to score every single game. Every game he starts, you're expecting, you're waiting for that goal. Might not have scored against Real Madrid, but that just means he's saving them all for Manchester City, so bring it on, in my opinion. He has to start. He is our best on that left side at this moment in time, and the same can be said on the right side, of course, for Mohamed Salah, who is in unbelievable form. Is he playing for the contract, or is he just a consummate professional that's playing to win the Premier League? Honestly, I think it's the second one, but he deserves that contract nonetheless. And I know he missed the penalty against Real Madrid, but I don't hold that against him whatsoever, because we won the game anyway. And if I'm being honest with you, it didn't matter that much to me. We're top of the Champions League. The only thing I wanted was, you know, to win the game. It means we can take that momentum into the City game, and that's what we did. And that was the biggest thing I took away from that Real Madrid game. I don't care about Mo Salah missing a penalty, and if Mo Salah wants to make up for missing that penalty, he can do so in this game with a couple of goals. That will more than make up for it in my eyes. And what better message to send to FSG if you can go and absolutely dominate the field against Manchester City to send Liverpool 11 points clear for the Premier League table. But the big question is who goes down the middle, because there is a choice here. Jota, not going to play, but we have got Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo come off the bench. He scored a goal against Real Madrid, so does he start? That's the question. For me, it's a no. I've already spoke about this in this video and at length in the last video, but I thought Darwin Núñez was absolutely phenomenal against Real Madrid in that first half, especially. So unlucky not to get a goal. Honestly, could have had a hat-trick. Okay, it might have been an own goal, our first chance, but whatever. Hat-trick to me. And if you can play like that, if we can have that Darwin in this game against City, okay, there was a little, you know, the theatrics and the scuffle that got him the yellow card early against Madrid, but you know what, I don't care about that. If we can have that Darwin, that drive, that ambition, that tenacity that he had against Real Madrid, I think he'll absolutely dominate against this City side, because they're weak. Defensively, they're a mess. The midfield is a mess. We know our midfield is going to dominate them. I just know it is. And if the forwards can bounce off that, like Darwin was bouncing off Curtis Jones in that first half against Real Madrid, then I really think we can absolutely dominate Manchester City. And I've said this before, but the early goal against City is going to be so important, because I think it'll just absolutely bury them. We get an early goal, they'll just be thinking, this is Tottenham all over again. And then that's exactly where you want to get them. That's when that petulance comes out, and that's when you can really start to tear them apart. So an early goal is important, and for me that means pace. For me that means hitting them on the counter, because they're going to come at us, and for me that means it has to be Darwin Núñez that starts. And the bonus for all of this is that Cody Gakpo will still be on the bench, and we know he can make an impact coming off the bench. He's done so a couple of times already this season, but obviously most notably against Real Madrid last night. As of recording this video, it's last night for me, as he did against Real Madrid. And you know, that just means we've got an option there if things aren't working out, to get Cody Gakpo on, and let's see what happens. Luis Diaz, when they do that little shift of Gakpo back on the left and Diaz down the middle, Diaz looks great as well. So it's really an exciting time to be a Liverpool fan. If you're a betting man, you're putting all your money on Liverpool in this game. You look at the Opta stats there, Liverpool 45%, a draw at 26%, and Manchester City at 29%. So Liverpool have got the lion's share here of the percentage, and genuinely, it's been a while since that's been the case against Manchester City. It's normally quite even. Usually a draw is quite big as well, and depending on where we're at, Anfield or the Etihad, so there are times where City obviously has the dominance there in the Opta stats, but this time it's Liverpool, and for good reason, because Manchester City are in a mess. Liverpool are flying high, and it is about time that we send that message to world football that not only can we beat the reigning champions of Europe, but we can beat the reigning champions of England as well. And that message is that Liverpool are the best team in the world right now. So what does that mean for score prediction? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do feel confident. Man, I think if you can't feel confident about this game, I don't know when you can, considering the form City are in. So my prediction is Liverpool 4, Manchester City 1. I think there is, of course, and always will be, and you can never underestimate City. There will always be a threat there. So I'm being generous, I'm giving them a goal. But, you know, if Tottenham can score 4 goals at the Etihad, Liverpool can certainly score 4 goals at Anfield. And if we get that early goal, which I think is key, and they capitulate, then it's open season. And, you know, I just want to send a message. I want this to be a dominant win. I want it to be a display of power from Liverpool and from Arne Slot. So I'm going Liverpool 4. Manchester City 1. That's my prediction. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Get your comments down below. If you're still here, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Up the tabletop in Reds.